here today with my son, Jared Smith, our Chief Marketing Officer, and this is our third video. We just did one on Marketing 101 and on Search Engine Optimization 101, and this video is going to be on Website Design 101, kind of helping you really understand the basics of what is important in your website design and in your content. And so, Jared, when you think about the user experience, the website itself, what are some of the things that go through your mind that you can share with people who are in the process of developing their websites that they really need to be thinking about?
Yeah, I would say there's kind of three core pillars to a successful, website. The first one is going to be a design. It's going to be a design that resonates with your target market. It's attractive to your target market, and ultimately it's easy to use. So many times these days we see sites and you're just like, what am I supposed to do here? What are you even selling? And so I think it's got to be just really, really crystal clear. That's something I feel like has been one of the biggest takeaways over the last year in running this business, and in just everything we do is just the clarity of what we do, even looking at our labels right here, right? So I think having a design that's really clear, it's attractive, it speaks to and resonates with your target market is the first thing. The second thing is, having a site that's coded really, really well so that it loads quickly. This is especially true as Google has moved over from a desktop first indexing to actually a mobile first indexing. So they're actually going to rank your website based on how it is portrayed on a mobile device. And if it's slow on a mobile device, you are not going to rank well anywhere in their search results. So speed these days and having, very clean coded websites is huge. The third thing that I would look at is the photography. And this is something that, was the hardest thing to get when I ran an agency, because people just didn't understand how important photography is. And if you look at our website right now and you like it, it's because you like the photography. The design is secondary to the photography that we have on our website. And so that would be something I would say is just an absolute must-have if you are looking to become, a thought leader, an expert in any particular segment.
As you were talking, it reminded me of something I heard years ago, that people form an opinion of a website in like 2/100ths of a second.
Yes.
I mean, it's fast. I mean, you look
is.
at it, you immediately form an opinion of that website. And, obviously a low budget looking website is just going to provide a bad experience. People aren't going to spend much time there.
Yep.
It's obviously not going to convert. And so, having something that appeals to your target market obviously is critical. Talk a little bit about content. You talked about design, you talked about coding, and maybe you can share a little bit more on that, because I don't know how many people know about that. But in photography, talk a little bit about content.
Yeah, so content is one of those things that's funny, because content was always the thing at the agency that we had to wait on the longest. Because all clients wanted to write their own content, and sometimes we would wait up to a year for them to write it. So it's one of those things that, I would say hand off your content to a professional. It could be an agency, or it could be just a local professional that you find on Craigslist or Indeed or something of that nature. But content is one of those things that I would really recommend people don't try to do that part themselves. It's not easy to speak to a certain demographic. A great writer should be able to interview you, pull out all the great information that you have, and then really portray that in a way that connects with your target audience.
And so let's talk about maybe how somebody could find that content writer. And I know for you, one of your favorite places has been Upwork. Yeah. And so if somebody was in the golf business and they want to really target golfers, then they could go on Upwork and try to find somebody who's a writer in the golf world, right?
Exactly.
So that they can talk to that audience.
Exactly, and I can't tell you how many times I've been surprised where I've done a search like golf copywriter, golf writer, and you'll find writers from Golf Digest. You'll find people who really understand this market and are more than willing to help other businesses like your own to help get it off the ground, to help write quality content for it. So Upwork is by far one of my favorite resources. We spend a lot of money every month there because they have such a diversity of experts.
And when you say we spend a lot of money, I mean, you've got experts in every little area that doesn't make sense for us to have an employee for.
Exactly.
And so you've got all these experts that you have found working on all these different little projects that you and your team are doing, right?
Exactly, that's right.
And diving back into the coding, you were talking about the mobile experience, and obviously people need to have a website design that can be viewed on a mobile device. It needs to be viewed on a tablet. It needs to be viewed on a computer, and they call that a responsive design.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It'll adjust for all of that. And as you design your site, you want to look at how it looks like on all these different devices because it changes. But when you were talking about coding, is that something that they need to be worried about, or is that something that comes with your template if they get one, or their website design firm?
Exactly, yeah. So there's really two different ways that I would recommend people go about building a website. If you are on a tight budget, what I would recommend is that you go to ThemeForest. It's themeforest.net. Themeforest.net, you can Google this and you'll find it right away. But they've got a lot of great themes. But what I would look at as you're scrolling through the themes is to find one that really talks about site speed. Because certain themes and theme owners, people, the guys who actually created these themes, they will take great pride in their site speed, in their responsiveness, and they'll talk about that. They'll say, listen, we get a 90+ score on Google page speed metrics or something along those lines. So I would find a theme that loads well, that's responsive, that the owner of the theme, that when they're marketing it, they're talking about that site speed. And then when you get it live, you actually test it yourself. There's a tool called Web Page Test. Just Google Web Page Test and you can find it. And I would run it through there and just make sure it loads in under 3 seconds. And most of these themes, some of them you can set up yourself. You can maybe use, a family member that's a web developer or a designer or something to set up for you. That's what I would do if I were on a very small budget, tight budget. If you're not, if you've got some resources to put behind a beautiful design, a very well created design, we've got an agency that I actually started a little over 11 years ago now, and it's called Internet Marketing Geeks, internetmarketinggeeks.com. And you can go there, and we've got a phenomenal team that fully understands our industry. They actually build everything off of the template that we spent, $20,000, $30,000 to develop here at Joy Organics. And they'll just take that, modify it, and create something that's perfect for you.
And so if they're very conscious on the money, they can do it themselves. And if they're going to do it themselves, obviously it's really critical that they take pride in what they're doing, get good photography, good content, really put some thought behind that design. Let's talk a little bit about collecting email addresses, because one of the most effective forms of marketing is email marketing. And so, talk about how people can collect email addresses from people visiting their site.
Sure, absolutely. One of the tools that we used early on, before we got really sophisticated, now we've got all sorts of crazy email collection tools and marketing tools, but the tool we used early on was called MailChimp. And it's a great, very affordable, I think we spent $20 or so a month for that program. And with that, you can set up little pop-up boxes, you can set up little boxes that you can put on your blog or at the bottom of your site to collect emails, because the reality is you're not going to convert every single person that comes to your site. And when I say convert, I mean they're not going to purchase something from you. Even a site like ours, we've got a lot of great information. We only convert about 3 to 4% of those visitors that actually come to our shop and end up buying. So we want to have the ability to follow up with all those other people, and we collect their email addresses to do that. So we collect their email address, we add them to our list, and then we give them some different interesting, informative content so that hopefully in 20, 30 days, we've built a relationship with them and they come back and end up buying. A lot of them actually do.
And I also notice on our site, and I notice on our competitor sites, there's little pop-ups that, hey, give us your email address, we'll give you 10, 15% off your first order.
Yep.
How effective is that pop-up?
Extremely.
Yeah.
Extremely. I forget what the change was, but I believe we're collecting about 10% of the people who come to our site. We're collecting 10% of them into our email drip campaign. So it's very effective.
And when Jared said that we convert about 3 to 4%, I mean, that's a big number.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
It's definitely above average. It's just, it's still, though, you're not converting 96%. And so it's a lot of people that could be slipping through the cracks that have an interest. And that's why we just want to do everything we can to still collect their email address so that we can follow up with them down the road.
And let's just take a minute and talk about retargeting.
Yeah.
Because, for this other 90% that we don't collect an email address, we still target those people.
We do.
Tell our viewers a little bit about what retargeting is and maybe what they can do to begin to retarget themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So we use a tool called Perfect Audience, perfectaudience.com. And what that tool does is they basically give us a piece of code. They call it a pixel, but it's basically a piece of code that you install on your website. And you put it down kind of into the footer of the site. People can't see it, so it's invisible. But basically what happens when a visitor comes to your site, when that code is installed properly, it puts a pixel on their browser, puts a cookie essentially on their browser. Maybe you've gone into Internet Explorer or Chrome and it's like, delete my cookies. That's what they're referring to. It's all of these cookies that different retailers are putting on your browser to track you or to market to you down the road. So essentially what happens is you visit joyorganics.com, we put a cookie on your browser, and then as you go throughout the web, you go to Forbes, you go to weather.com, you go to just about any website that has an ad, you're probably going to see our banner ads. And that is from this tool, Perfect Audience. And it is by far one of the most effective things that we've ever done to promote the business, because we get a lot of traffic. Like I said, we're not able to convert everybody, but because we can almost continue that relationship on through these different banners and the different messages we share, we're able to bring those people back to convert.
In retargeting can be very specific. For example, obviously I visit every page on our site, so I get to see all our retargeting. And if I'm on our wholesale page, and all of a sudden I start to see our wholesale banners. If I'm on our private label page, I begin to see all of our private label banners.
Yeah.
And obviously, if somebody's on the soft gel page, we retarget them.
Yeah.
We retarget them with soft gel banners wherever they're going.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one of the beauty benefits of this, is that you can be very, very specific. So depending on the type of CBD business you have, if you've got maybe a wholesale section, if you're selling to golf shops, maybe you want to sell to golfers direct to consumer on one part of your site, and you want to sell to the golf shops on another, and you can remarket those people accordingly.
Yeah. So they would obviously, much like our business, they would have a retail business where they sell to the end consumer, in that case the golfer, and then they would have a wholesale business where they would sell to people, golf shops that want to resell their product.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been awesome. We're going to shoot one more video, and I'm looking forward to that. And that's going to be on label design and the importance of that. So,
absolutely.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this. If you haven't watched our other videos, make sure you do that, because they kind of all tie together. We're kind of talking about a lot of the same things and kind of how they all merge together. So hopefully you've enjoyed this short interview.